Hello, and welcome to Big Muddy Mayhem, the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior in the Midwest.
Each week, we'll bring you 2 stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Janet O'Brien.
I'm Tracey and Janet.
Hello!
Hello, Janet, how are you?
Good. We've been sitting here catching up a little.
I know, just a little bit. But,
yeah. I no longer have bronchitis, so my voice is no longer an octave lower this week.
Hear ya.
So, anything going on?
Let's see, not a whole lot. I had a couple of college friends in town this weekend.
Oh, good.
And so I got to go and have a little visit and
nice.
Hang out. And so it's when you get to be our age, it is nice to be able to hang out with people that you've known for like
a bazillion years.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you? Anything good?
No, not real. I mean, nothing bad. I've just been. I kind of took a chill weekend after the past 2 weekends of being out of town.
Yeah.
So it was just a nice, calm weekend. I worked on Saturday.
Nice.
Nothing super exciting. I did watch. I already have it on my TV, but I did watch the new Fall Guy movie.
Yeah? Did you like it?
Yes.
Nice.
Did you ever watch the TV show?
I never did. No.
Okay. You know who starred in the TV show, right?
No.
The guy who played the $6 Million Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's okay.
Anyone. You can't. I don't know.
Anyway, it was really cute. It's a cute movie.
Okay.
If you like explosions and a love story and some fun, it's a 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
So I was, and they had a little bit of callback to the TV show. So that was kind of fun to watch.
I've been watching a really trashy dating show.
Oh boy.
On Peacock called Love Undercover.
Oh boy.
And they're 5 famous footballers.
Okay.
From all over the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so nobody knows who they are because they're football players, and
Right.
the US it's like not everybody is into like soccer
right.
Here. So anyway, they're footballers, and they are all like very famous and very wealthy.
Oh.
And they come to Los Angeles, and they put them all up in a penthouse, and they give them like kind of blue-collar job descriptions and stuff, and introduce them to a whole bunch of women.
Oh, boy.
And the girls think that they're on a show about dating somebody from, like, outside of the U.S. Like,
oh, no! So they're being kind of tricked.
So they, like, but the guys are like, well, we're here because we want to find somebody that likes me for who I am, not what I have. And so, that way
That's super interesting.
It has been.
It has been?
Oh, it's garbage, but do yourself a favor. Pop yourself a big old bowl of popcorn and sit down and watch a little bit of Love Undercover.
Nice. So we have a couple of stories.
We do have a couple of stories. That was not a paid advertisement, so we better get to it.
I think I start first.
You do, yeah. You go first.
Okay, so I found an interesting story. It's based in Kansas City.
Okay.
I'm just saying that because sometimes
we have the same city.
I know.
Not this week.
Not this week? Okay. Well, there we go. So I am going to talk about the story of Mr. Swope.
Okay.
And Dr. Hyde.
Swope and Hyde. So Jekyll wasn't available.
It's interesting, Dr. Hyde. It's a little bit of a. It's just an interesting story because of the person that you're about to meet. It kind of gives you a little Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde vibes. I mean, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was written in 1886. It was called The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was written by Robert Louis Stevenson. Dr. Jekyll sometimes feels if he's battling between good and evil within himself, leading to the struggle between his dual personalities of Henry Jekyll and Edward Hyde.
Right.
So, just a cute little thing. It just happens
to
be a doctor with the
yeah.
last name Hyde. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Thomas Swope, or Swope. It's Swope. He was born in Kentucky in 1827.
Okay.
He moved to Kansas City in 1857 to search for his fortune.
All right. How'd that work out for him?
It did very, very well.
That's
in fact.
great.
So he found fortune in Kansas City real estate market. He could see that because Kansas City was fairly small. He's like, I could see the city growing up, getting big south of the Missouri River.
Sure.
So he ended up purchasing a bunch of land there, which is now, most of that land he purchased is downtown Kansas City today.
Nice. Okay.
So he would basically make money by subdividing the farmland and reselling it to other investors.
All right.
He invested a lot of his fortune directly back into the city. So he was very private, but he gave generously to the area.
He's all in.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is his town now. He's all in.
Absolutely. So he would generously, give to hospitals, to the YMCA, and he was an animal activist.
Oh.
So he gave to the Humane Society as well. He donated 1,334 acres of land to Kansas City in 1896.
Oh my goodness.
Which became Swope Park, the largest park in Kansas City.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I've been there before. That's where the zoo is. That's where Starlight Theater is. There's a bunch of different things there.
I don't think I've only spent just a very small amount of time in Kansas City, and we didn't, we spent 2 days at the Nelson Atkins because it takes 2 days to see it all, but we were only there for a weekend, so I didn't.
Yeah, it's a big park. It's kind of hilly. You just feel like you're like, okay, I'm driving into this place with a bunch of trees. It's very, very large.
Oh.
Most likely he had an ulterior motive for the gift of the land, because during that time, he was an active opponent of the Kansas City Beautiful plan, which would increase property taxes to pay for parks and boulevards. But nobody really cared. Park opened in June of 1896. A ton of people went. It's still there today.
Nice.
So now I'm going to go on to this other guy, Dr. Bennett Hyde.
Okay. Born
1872 to a prominent family in Lexington, Missouri. He graduated from William Jewell College and the University Medical College. He became a physician in Kansas City.
Okay.
Also known for having a beautiful singing voice and able to recite Shakespeare by heart.
All right.
Former patient once called his voice so seductive that he made me feel I was doing him a favor when he asked me to let him give me the chloroform.
Wow. He made me feel as though I was doing him a favor when he asked me to...
Because this is a time when they still use chloroform, That's what you used. I'm sorry, I thought that was very funny.
Wow.
So he's got that voice.
Uh-huh. And he's also got a rag that smells funny.
He also has a rag that
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, okay, sure.
Oh.
So I'm going to
Is this a picture?
I'm going to show you a picture of Thomas. This is Thomas Swope.
Okay.
Okay. He's older. And then this is a younger picture of Dr. Bennett Hyde.
Okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
I kind of do.
Yeah. He's a good-looking guy. He really is.
I'd sniff his handkerchief.
Oh my God. So he had been a practicing physician for a bit. And then in 1903, he started going steady with Francis Thomas Swopes, the oldest niece of Tom.
Oh.
Okay.
And so this is when Heidi meets Swopey?
Yes. She was 23 and she was smitten with Dr. Hyde. He was a 31-year-old doctor.
Sure.
Hyde Hyde already had some scandalous reputations at this point.
Okay.
He had been known to escort older women and fleece them for their dollars.
Not that. No.
Well, that voice, right?
Right. He had the beautiful voice. He had the chloroform. He has the looks. He's the whole package, ladies.
In 1897, Hyde, he was a white guy. He was the Kansas City police surgeon in 1897. Okay. And he was accused of abusing a black woman by the name of Annie Clemens.
Oh, okay.
Community leaders and church officials protested this happening, and he was eventually removed from his position as the physician for the police department. He was also, in 1898, Hyde was arrested for being he was being the ringleader for a major grave robbing group.
Oh my goodness.
He was accused of hiring a gang of ghouls to rob local cemeteries to secure cadavers for the medical college. So this is still right around that time where there's still, people...
I think that I might have even tangentially heard a little bit about... Like this, maybe, because they're, like you said, this was a time where there are so many grave robbers.
Right. I mean, they're still trying to learn,
And, so, in their minds, it's like, I'm not doing anything wrong, we're just trying to...
We're trying to advance our medical research.
Future lives.
Exactly. Yeah. So, he ends up getting arrested for that. But... somebody, some reporter eventually said he seemed that he could smile and shake enough hands and these things would just go away, and that just seemed to work for him.
And he had that beautiful singing voice.
Exactly.
So it's probably like, you really should let me have this body. I'm gonna do so much good.
Exactly. So, anyway, he ends Maggie Swope, that is Frances' mother. Mm-hmm. She is not sure if we're not sure if she knows of his speckled past, but when he ended up proposing to Frances, Maggie did not give a blessing.
Okay. All right.
So, June 21st of 1905, Frances and Dr. Hyde elope.
I was going to say, I don't think this is going to stop Frances here.
So, they're just like, no. They just went ahead and they eloped. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, the headline in the Kansas City Star, a wedding in Fayetteville, Arkansas, proves a surprise to the bride's mother.
Well.
So they eloped in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I don't know what was there. That's where they went and eloped. After Frances Hyde and Maggie, after that, Frances Hyde and Maggie Swope just stopped speaking. So she stopped speaking to her mom.
Oh, wow.
Maggie, before they got married, Maggie even offered to pay for a trip for Frances to go to Europe to stop the wedding. And
wow, look,
yeah.
I'll give you money, just
maybe go out of town and think about it or something. Mm-hmm. And she was hell-bent on getting married to him. So they just went ahead and got married. Then they just continued their feud. She didn't talk to her mom until October of 1907.
Okay.
So, we've got like 2 years they didn't talk.
All right.
So not horribly long, but not great. Frances' brother, he was badly wounded in a Nevada mine. And so Maggie ended up contacting Frances's new husband, Hyde, for medical help.
Oh, wow.
So eventually she's like, okay, she sees her daughter, sees him. I guess she sees how well they get along. And she's like, okay, we're just going to bygones be bygones.
Sure, all right, this is clearly something that you wanted and that you've made work. So.
Yeah, you've been with him for 2 years at this point. Mm-hmm. He doesn't seem like a crappy person. So, yeah, okay. So she accepts him back into the family. Then Thomas Swope, her uncle, ends up buying the couple a house at 3516 Forest Avenue And the association with the family gives Hyde a major career boost because he has a ton of money, and he's now he's like kind of has the ends with this rich family.
Right, of course, and all of the people that kind of come in that circle that you know.
Exactly.
It's, sometimes it's not just what you know, it's who you know. And,
absolutely. So, of course, Hyde becomes president-elect of the Jackson County Medical Society. Swope had donated all the land to the city to build the hospitals. So it wasn't that hard for,
it's a little pay for play.
He was already a doctor, so it was just like, hey, here's my son-in-law. I mean, well, my nieces,
And so far, like you said, he's got at least the qualifications that are needed.
Exactly.
And then it's like, if you have to pick one person over the... I mean, there is the whole part where, his temper comes into play, but...
Right. So, we're going to move on to 1909. Things seem to be going okay. But then... Okay, so the Swope family, they lived in Independence, Missouri. Thomas Swope. There was a 26-room Swope mansion on Pleasant Street on the hilltop in Independence, Missouri.
Okay.
The original owner of the mansion was Logan Swope, who was Thomas's brother.
Okay.
When Logan passed away, Logan's wife basically took Thomas in. Thomas was never married.
Ever?
No.
Okay.
He just had a lot of family members.
So he just kind of bounced from,
he had a lot of money, but...
Sure. But...
he was old at this point, okay? So she's like, you're elderly, my husband passed away. Yeah, just move in.
You need looking after, I can look after you.
Exactly. And so he ends up moving in 1909. They shared the estate with 7 other family members, but most of them were Maggie's children. So this is, Florence's, her siblings.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Maggie is living there with all of her children, the kids, except the one that's married and doesn't live there, because she's married to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And then they said at some point, because again, Tom is old. They called him an old codger. He basically just lived upstairs. He drank a lot, and he smoked way too many cigars. He was always smoking cigars.
So he's just up there.
Yeah, he's just old. Just kind of like, he doesn't have the greatest health, but whatever.
Right.
October 1st, 1909, Thomas's cousin, J. Moss Hutton, ends up suffering a stroke. Maggie's like, oh crap. So she ends up contacting Dr. Hyde and their family physician, Dr. George Twyman. Together the doctors, remember this is 1909. I was surprised to even read this. Together, both of the doctors, the family physician and the son-in-law, both decide, how do you fix a stroke? Bloodletting.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Oh my gosh.
So, because apparently that was still a thing. So together the doctors decide they're going to bleed Hutton. The bloodletting was, Hyde makes the incision and starts draining Hutton's blood into a basin. People started to notice the amount of blood coming out of this person.
No kidding.
Frances, Hyde's wife, is like, eventually said, dearie, don't you think you've bled Moss enough? Mm-hmm. So after he drained multiple pints of blood.
Completely. Yeah.
Within minutes of bandaging up the 63-year-old Moss Hutton, he dies.
Oh.
Because they took too much blood.
That's basically what happened to Washington, I think, as well.
They just
much blood. Bled him to death. Because they kept going from one doctor to another, and every single doctor that would walk in would just be like, blood.
Add a leech.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 days later, Thomas Swope, again, he lives upstairs. He has his own personal nurse. Mm-hmm. He's 81 years old.
Wow.
Okay? Yeah. So he's lived a long life.
Completely.
So I don't really care that he's upstairs drinking and smoking cigars. The man is 81.
He's earned it.
He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. So he wakes up in the morning. He calls for his nurse. his nurse, Pearl Virginia Keller. She gives him breakfast and a digestive pill from Hyde.
Oh.
And 20 minutes later, he starts breaking out into a cold sweat. He quivers violently and then goes into a coma.
Oh my gosh.
Per a trial testimony later down the line, the nurse, she claimed that he did wake up for a moment, like when this was all happening, when he was, I guess, going in and out of a coma, and says, "I wish I had never taken that damn pill. It's going to kill me."
Oh no. So
that night, 81-year-old Thomas Swope dies.
And he hasn't even touched his breakfast cigar.
No. Right?
Yeah.
Thomas's health wasn't great, but it seems strange that him and his cousin died 2 days apart.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're just like, it's kind of odd, but they're just like, okay. Now the cousin, here's an interesting fact. The cousin that died from the stroke with the bloodletting, that cousin happened to be the executor to Thomas Swope's estate.
Well, how's about that?
Isn't that convenient?
It might be, yeah.
When Thomas died, his fortune was $3.6 million, which in today's money would be $100 million.
Oh my goodness!
This guy
$100 million.
Days leading up to his death, to Thomas's death, he had been telling everyone that he wanted to change his will.
Okay.
He wanted to give even a larger portion to charity and less to his family. And but when the will was read, most of it was going to the family.
Right, none of the changes had been put into action.
Exactly. They found the newly written one, but it wasn't, it
wasn't like signed and
notarized and whatnot right now. So they went with the old will. Each niece ended up getting $140,000, which in today's money would be $4 million each.
That is nothing small.
No, right? Frances was one of the cousins that was going to inherit.
Oh, and so that's why.
So Hyde had already benefited from being, just getting influences because he's related, in this family now. And shortly after, like hours within the first death, the stroke, Hyde was offering to be the new executor to Thomas.
Oh, wow.
It's like, maybe just keep your mouth shut. Just zip it and zip.
You're saying the quiet things out loud again.
Exactly. Suspicious activity. 2 weeks before Thomas accepted the digestive capsules that Hyde had made 2 different phone calls to Hugo Brecklin's drugstore. He ordered something called Fairchild's Halidin, which was a popular digestive compound made from animal glands and powdered and put into capsules.
Yum.
And then he had made another phone call ordering several capsules of cyanide.
Oh.
The pills were basally identical in size, shape, and color.
This is like the Tylenol murders before there were the Tylenol murders.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
So other things, 1 month after the 2 deaths, late November, typhoid fever hits the household, the Swope household.
Oh, okay. So now
there's a bunch of people in the house with typhoid fever. 2 of Maggie's children, Margaret and Chrisman, fall ill. It spreads from family members to friends to servants. Sure. Strange thing, most of the doctors are not aware of a single case prior to this in Independence, Missouri for the whole year. So the breakout just happens in their household.
Just this one house.
Just this one house.
This extremely contagious disease where there are potentially people that are coming and going from the household.
Yeah, just this house.
And no one else gets sick.
Right.
Those poor people.
I know. So many crazy things happening to them all at once, right?
The worst luck.
The worst luck. They call in 5 nurses and the family physician and Hyde. So they're not making this connection yet. Chrisman, who is one of France's siblings, was running a really high fever.
Okay.
December 5th, Hyde gives Chrisman a capsule claiming it to be fever medication. 30 minutes later, Chrisman went into convulsions and fell into a coma.
Oh, no.
Keller, that one nurse that watched this happen to Thomas, was like...
Is now starting
This looks really familiar. Didn't this just happen?
To be fair, they didn't have Investigate Discovery back then. It
No.
might have taken the nurse a little bit longer to catch on.
Right. So that night, 31-year-old Thomas Swope is dead.
Oh.
Before this typhoid fever, perfectly healthy person.
Completely.
The medical community was confused because they're like, only 5% of people who get typhoid fever actually die from it. They're
you get sick, but you recover.
Yeah, they're like, what is going on? Since typhoid fever is caused by contaminated food or water, a pathologist went to the Swope estate to test the water supply.
Okay.
In conclusion, as if the infection had been administered to the family with all the precision of a scientific experiment.
Wow.
So they could not figure out where it was coming from. They're like, what is going on? Okay. So now we're going to back up just like earlier, because this is like towards the end of November.
Okay.
Beginning of November. Now, this is where are we? 1910 now? Or 1909? 1909. Studies of germs was a regular pursuit of doctors because the germs are still very new on their radar, right?
Right. It's like we've just started washing our hands before, like,
exactly
putting them in somebody's guts to perform
exactly
surgery.
Because as we know, Victorian doctors did not do that at all. Dr. Edward Stewart that thought nothing of this. This is just a doctor friend of Hyde's, okay? But nothing when Hyde asked him to help set up his lab in early of November of 1909. And Dr. Edward Stewart, he was a bacteriologist.
All right.
So to jumpstart his research, Stewart gave Hyde, a bunch of different germs so he could do some research.
All right, sure.
Including Salmonella typhi, which causes typhoid fever.
Oh my gosh. So it's not even just like the poisoning. He has also got like...
He has typhoid fever in his lab.
He is... Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
So when he hears about everybody in the household getting typhoid fever...
Does he put two and two?
Yeah, Stewart becomes concerned. And when he heard about typhoid outbreak at the estates, while Hyde happened to be out of town for the day, Stewart's like, I'm gonna go check out that lab that I helped him set up because there's something fishy's going on. So he goes over there and he sneaks into his lab to look at the bacteria cultures. He finds the typhoid culture has been completely swept clean. And he's like, I basically gave him enough to kill all of Kansas. I mean, to get all of Kansas City sick.
Oh my God.
He's like, it's just gone. He's like, okay.
Wow.
That's not good.
That is diabolical.
I know. Again, Keller, the nurse, Thomas's nurse, also became suspicious. And then she goes up to the family doctor, Dr. Twyman.
Right, on time.
And she's like, this happened with Thomas, and then this happened, and there's something going on, okay? Mm-hmm. So she said Hyde frequently used strychnine injections, which can be lethal in large doses, and he was using it as a stimulant on patients at the house. The 5 nurses that were there trying to take care of the sick family, they never saw any reason for him to give them these shots.
Right. I'm like, what is the possible benefit? Do we know? Is there
it's just a stimulant. I don't know. Okay. Just something crazy. So led by Nurse Keller, private nurse of Thomas, her and the other nurses, they basically give the Swope family an ultimatum. They're like, either Hyde goes or we all go.
Right.
They're just like, we're not helping you anymore. You gotta make that guy leave. We don't know what he's doing, but there's something surrounding him. And so Maggie, France's mom, and the family physician, they all get together and they tell Hyde, you have to leave the mansion. You are never allowed to come back here. And then magically, once he left, the family members with typhoid fever started to feel better.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Does he leave it alone?
There's still a lot more. This story is crazy. I'm reading it going, what? I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
So the Swope family, they arrange independent autopsies on Chrisman and Thomas. So the 31-year-old and the 81-year-old. Both were poisoned with strychnine.
Well.
Shocking, right? So February of 1910, the coroner's jury find that Thomas Swope died of strychnine poisoning, and which they believed were given by that capsule.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
in March of 1910, there's 11 indictments handed down against Hyde. First-degree murder for Thomas and Chrisman, and manslaughter of Moss Hutton, because that was just the bloodletting thing. Also charged with using typhoid germs to poison Margaret, Lucy, Lee, Sarah, Stella, and several other people.
Oh my gosh.
So, and again, it's like when you see things happen on TV and somebody gets convicted, it just takes months and sometimes years. But back then, they're always
things
in trial
so fast.
immediately,
Yeah.
right? So April of 1910, the trial begins.
Okay, wow.
They are basically just going to do all their focus on Thomas.
Okay.
So prosecution rested on the fewer Swope family members, the more Hyde and his wife were gained to inherit.
We're going to receive.
Right. So strychnine was used in capsules to treat dyspepsia.
Dyspepsia.
Yeah, but not enough to be toxic. So that's why.
Okay.
So they said.
And that's basically just, I think, like an upset stomach.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes.
So.
Yeah, dyspepsia. That's where we get Pepto-Bismol.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So most likely he just gave him too much to be lethal. Frances, his wife, Maggie's daughter, totally believed he was innocent. Just did not believe that he did this. Many of the members in the medical community, because he had been in the, uppity
pillar of the community.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They also didn't believe that he did it either, because he was a regular doctor. Because he never killed his patients.
Right.
Just like, what is going on? It's just something happened. So basically, he ends up taking the stand, and he leaves a lot of unanswered questions, like, why did you need cyanide capsules? And he said he bought it to kill rats and dogs. And they're like, why would you poison dogs? Right. That was their question,
It's like the story I did last week with all the potash and...
Yeah!
Why do you need to make 2,000 pounds of soap?
Exactly.
This just doesn't add up.
No. So 3 nights and 2 days of deliberation, they find him guilty of murdering Thomas Swope. An appeal was immediately filed with the Missouri Supreme Court, and the verdict was thrown out. They overturned it because the evidence of other crimes were being allowed in.
Oh.
The autopsies, they felt like they were botched, because when they did Thomas's autopsy, they did it under the cover of night because the family did not want to be thrown in the newspaper right away, because they're a pretty rich family. And so they said, well, that was botched, and it was after dark, and the bodies were cold or frozen or something. They used some excuse. They tried to run 2 more trials. The second trial was a mistrial because one of the jurors left just halfway through the trial. The third trial, they had a hung jury. They tried to do a 4th trial, but it just never went anywhere.
Oh.
And basically the case ended up getting dismissed against Hyde, and he walked free in 1917.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Right? So...
I mean, that's the time to have all of that, like, kind of hanging over you, but still, to walk away...
Yeah.
Just...
And he probably did... He still didn't inherit anything, but, you know,
Right.
obviously. But
he never saw, prison.
no, I think he was in prison during part of that.
Yeah,
but,
okay, but he never... Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't... He was gone. He was out, you know. So after that, Hyde moves back to Lexington, Missouri, where he's from.
Okay.
He becomes a truck driver and a mechanic, but then he eventually
That's handy.
I know, because again, it's during that time where you can just be anything, right? throw a dart. That's what I'm going to be now.
Yep.
So he eventually does get back into medicine.
Okay.
In 1920, so like 3 years after he's let free, Frances actually divorces him because he's not the same. He's like crabby, he's mean to the kids, and she's like, I'm just done with him.
This is her line in the sand.
Yeah,
okay.
she still thinks he's innocent, but
Right.
she's like, I'm done, and she ends up divorcing him and gets custody of their children. And then he ends up getting buried in an unmarked grave in Lexington, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
And that's really it.
That is a wild...
I know! Like, what?
That is a wild, wild ride. And like I said, I'm not entirely certain the name Swope sounded familiar to me. And like I said, I think I had heard something about but I might be confusing it with another. I mean, there were so many people that ended up getting caught, like grave digging.
Right, absolutely.
For bodies.
Right.
And
So Muddy Buddies, anybody from the Kansas City area, you can totally correct me. Is it Swope or Swopey? I would like to know.
Yes. Please let us know.
Absolutely.
Drop a comment or send us an email.
So that's my story.
That's a great
Isn't
story.
that a great story?
Oh my gosh. That is fantastic.
Oh my god.
I am not in Missouri this time, but we
Okay.
are kind of still in the Ozarks, so close enough, and we are at about the same point in time in history.
Hey.
I am going to take you to Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
I love Eureka Springs.
And I am going to give you the first part of a 2-part episode.
Yay.
And I am going to tell you a little bit about the Crescent Hotel.
Yay! I've been there.
I know, yeah, I have too. And in particular, we're going to talk about Dr. Norman Baker.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, the Crescent Hotel, as you know since you've been there,
Yes.
built on top of
Yes.
big limestone bluffs in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Absolutely.
The construction begins in... Oops, I'm pulling up my photo. Oops. There we go. All right. The construction begins in 1879, and they hire like a famous architect to do it. Somebody who's like really well renowned. And it's primarily completed, though, by a lot of Irish immigrants that are coming over as stonemasons. We talked last week about, these waves of immigration. And they bring over a lot of Irish folks that have worked in like the stone business, and they are the ones that are like building this big giant structure. We're going to get back to one of them later.
Okay.
But this is being built basically as a playground for wealthy people.
Yeah, I can tell that.
They have so many amenities. They have all of these like gardens and things that, are just unheard of.
Wow.
At the time, because they're so like fancy. It takes 7 years to build the hotel.
Wow.
It has 78 sleeping rooms, but the dining room can hold 500.
Oh, wow.
Plus all of these amenities, event space, all of this. This is like, it's sitting on the top of the bluff and on 27 acres of land.
Wow.
So they tout it also for the healing waters, because that
was
just
a
like
thing.
Oakville, that was a big thing back then.
Thing.
Like, go and take the waters for your health.
Mm-hmm.
And so here is a picture of the Crescent
Yes,
Hotel when it opened.
Nice.
It's huge. You've got these big kind of turrets. You have a whole bunch of just like big, wide balconies and like kind of overlook points, and you're looking over again these beautiful limestone bluffs, so you're looking down into the hills of the Ozarks.
Nice.
And so the hotel does well at the time, but then it's sold in 1908, and it becomes a women's school.
Oh.
Because they're having a hard time getting people there in the winter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so they either sell it out or like kind of rent it out. I couldn't be sure exactly which, but it becomes the Crescent College for Women.
Oh.
And that lasts until 1934.
Wow.
So you see all of these.
They're wearing these long white dresses and these hats. And wow.
It's what a woman's school would look like in, 1930.
Right.
So we're now in the middle of the Great Depression, by 34. By 1937, the hotel has a new owner because the college is closed. It's been empty for a couple of years. This is going to be a theme with the history of this hotel. In 1937, the hotel has a new owner, and he gets this place for basically pennies on the dollar.
Oh, wow.
And that man is Dr. Norman G. Baker.
Okay.
Dr. Norman Baker, he has developed a miracle cure, and it can fix and cure a lot of things, like hemorrhoids and probably dyspepsia. But specifically, it can cure cancer.
What?
And it's completely surgery-free. So Dr. Baker has a very hefty price tag.
Of course he does.
But patients will flock to him by the thousands. He claims that most people are cured within 6 weeks. 6 weeks, no more cancer. You don't even need to use all your PTO.
Sign me up.
Yeah. And all with the help of this special formula.
Oh my God.
So let's get a little background on this sketchy mofo, shall we?
Yes! Please!
Right. Dr. Norman G. Baker. Here's a photo.
He's got white hair, he's got the glasses. He
looks like a doctor.
He looks like a doctor.
He does look exactly like a doctor. He's born to a wealthy family in Iowa. He is the 10th of 10 kids, so he's a little bit spoiled because he's the baby.
Yeah.
He starts out as an inventor, and he has a hand early on in the manufacturing of early model calliopes. Like the steam organ?
Yes.
Yeah. But then he moves on to working in vaudeville because he kind of gets the showbiz bug.
Oh my God.
First, he's as a performer, but then eventually he becomes a mentalist. You know how, like mind readers and people that do like kind of flim-flam magic tricks.
I just started watching Psych, just FYI.
So he's a mentalist. He's performing under the name of Charles Welch. But, and this, I had to just take this picture because it's so freaking funny. He performs alongside a psychic who performs as Madame Pearl Tangley.
Oh my God.
I laughed for like 30 solid seconds at Madame Pearl Tangley.
Not a made-up name.
No.
Not at all.
So after that, like he's doing vaudeville, he's a mentalist and all of that. But then in 1924, he goes into radio, which is kind of new. So it turns out you can just like call somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll like give you a frequency or give you a radio station. So he ends up getting his own station.
Oh my God.
And this is where he starts to hand out medical advice.
Wait, is this the time where you can just put doctor behind your name and you're good to go?
He is distrustful of medical doctors, traditional medical doctors.
Oh, no.
Because he isn't one. He left school in the 10th grade.
Oh, Jesus.
Janet.
Tracy.
Janet.
Tracy.
Janet.
Tracy.
He holds no medical license or even any kind of medical training.
Of course not.
Another reason that he's kind of really like against doctors is because a lot of doctors at this point in time are are Jewish, and he is also a huge anti-Semite.
Oh, great.
So he's handing out medical advice and talking about, like, this is the real facts, and, like, it's Fox
like,
News.
It's Fox
Dr.
News all over again.
Oz.
He's Dr. Oz!
He has he has no background, and he's just like, oh, yeah, so he can't even make up his own hoax. He swipes a miracle cure recipe from another huckster that he kind of meets in, the day's business. And he's selling this to patients for a small fortune.
Oh, my God.
So, would you like to know how you beat cancer?
Sure.
In 6 weeks.
In 6 weeks, okay.
Surgery-free.
Surgery-free, okay. Tell me.
Super easy.
Super easy.
Right. You can do this at home. Get out your recipe card. You mix watermelon seeds, corn silk, and clover leaf.
Okay.
Okay, so you take that. You can, homegrown is fine, store-bought is fine. You boil it down with alcohol, glycerol, and carbolic acid for flavor. And then you just inject it at the tumor site.
Oh my God.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. No more.
Did you know when I got cancer, my father was working with somebody who believed in stuff like that.
Oh, no.
And he's like, well, they just want all your money. You should have your daughter just inject baking soda or something into the spot.
No.
It'll go away.
If you want this really good, true, tried and tested cancer cure here, it is going to cost you. They do want your money.
Oh, good.
It is $1,000 per treatment, which would be a $20,000 today.
Jeez.
Per treatment.
Oh my God.
And so it's like living in 2024 without insurance.
Yes.
But he's so charismatic and he is so comforting. And he is taking advantage of people that are at the worst, scariest times in their lives, and their families,
right.
They'll do anything. They'll pay anything. These people are literally fighting for their lives. And so Dr. Baker is making, in today's money, $10 million per year.
Holy cow.
$10 million per year.
Wow.
He touts the hospital as the place, quote, where sick people get well. And he has something that he calls a wall of healing, where it's like a bunch of just glass jars with jars of his cure, and then jars of tumors and stuff that people are freed from, which how the hell did he get those without surgery?
Exactly. Osmosis.
I don't know. You wake up and sometimes you've got one of those little tonsil stones in the back of your throat, and instead it's just
Here's me tumor.
So, when the patients inevitably die, he has a system in place.
Oh.
Down in the basement, he has an area that he refers to as the asylum, which is for the sickest patients. And sometimes he'll just take people there. But if they know someone, they've got a roommate, somebody that's kind of looking out for them and stuff, the morgue is also down there. So the very sickest patients are taken down there either to die so that no one hears them
my God.
dying.
Right.
Or remaining patients are just taken to the morgue, where he says he doesn't perform surgery, but he does do a whole lot of autopsies, which might be where all of those tumors come from.
Oh, probably, yeah.
So when anybody asks, hey, what the fuck happened to Helen? It's
right.
Oh, Helen was cured. She
my God.
magically got better, and she was so eager to see her family. She left first thing this morning,
Oh my God.
He even fakes letters home to family members.
Oh, no.
Of the patients, either like saying, "Oh, I'm going to need to stay another week. You'll have to send more money."
Oh, no.
Or like, "Oh, I'm doing so much better, So, I mean, just diabolical.
That is diabolical.
We do both have evil doctors this week.
Yes, we do.
We still get it, baby.
We both have evil doctors. We do.
So, the city of Eureka Springs is not unaware that stuff like this is a little suspicious that's going on, but they're also making a ton of money because of how much wealth is coming into the hotel.
Yeah.
And those people need things, and not everybody stays at the hotel that goes to take the treatment. So they're making a ton of money, so they are not exactly making waves.
Oh my God.
But Dr. Baker makes one really big fatal mistake.
Uh-oh, what did he do?
Well, remember those letters?
Yeah.
That's mail fraud.
Oh.
And that's federal.
Yes, it is.
And so in 1940, he is sentenced to 4 years in the Leavenworth Penitentiary.
Wow.
He serves them. He gets out. He's released. And he retires with still a shit ton
of money. Yeah.
Still socked away. And so he heads to Miami, where he will move on to a yacht, living there kind of like by himself. Where he will die in 1958 of cancer. The hotel will sit completely empty until 1946, and it's going to be bought by a collective of businessmen, and maybe it wasn't really empty, and that is where I will pick up next week. So stay tuned. And that is part 1 of the Crescent Hotel.
That is
amazing. And the story of Norman Baker. Thank you.
That was a really good story.
All right.
Dies of cancer.
Well, I think this is where we take a break.
This is where we take a break.
I'm going to take Janet out back and show her my miracle cure. And once she's all shot up with watermelon seeds and milk thistle, we will be back with What's Nice.
We'll be back with What's Nice. If you're from the Midwest and have any suggestions for stories, please send them to bigmuddymayhem@gmail.com. Make sure to join our Facebook page, linked in the description. We also just started a Buy Me a Coffee link. This helps support our channel. You can go to the link in the description to buy us a coffee. And also, don't forget that we also offer merch that you can also find in the description. Now let's get back to What's Nice. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
And now we're going to do What's Nice.
We are. We've got a couple of things to talk about. What is nice here? I think both kind of short and sweet.
Yes, they are.
That's the way we like them.
Exactly.
All right.
So, well, considering what I just went through, it was obvious that I had to talk about Swope Park.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, why would I not talk about Swope Park? It is located at East Meyer Boulevard and Swope Parkway. They are open 5 a.m. until midnight every day.
Oh my goodness.
I know, right? They offer, it's a big park. They have a Swope Park bandstand that you can, it's reservable between May and October.
Okay.
It has like 20 tables, seating capacity of like 200. I mean, look at that.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. So it's like the very big ones.
Right.
Out here. Yeah. Like
yeah.
Nice.
And then they have some other shelters too that you can rent out.
That's so cute. That looks like it would be, if you wanted a casual wedding, a family reunion, that kind of thing. Just a nice day and some green space.
Right, absolutely. So they have several shelters, all different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, let's see here. We have the Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium. We have the Starlight Theater. We have the Heart of America Golf Course. We have a Go Ape Zipline and Adventure Park.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. They have a Southeast Community Center. They have Swope Park off-leash area for your pets. They have
not for my dog.
She would just be a cop.
Oh, she would choose violence.
We also have the soccer village and, of course, trails. This basically, again, is that real estate that he ended up giving.
Fantastic.
Mr. Swope was called the Colonel Swope.
Oh.
And it was just honorary. He was not in the military when he donated the 1,300 acres to the city of Kansas City. The property acquisitions made over the years, the park is now 1,805 acres. So it has grown.
That's wonderful.
And apparently Thomas Swope is buried under the floor of the Thomas H. Swope Memorial near the Swope Memorial Golf Course.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
So it's just a neat thing.
I hope nobody steals his body.
I know. They do, of course, have events. Like right now, there's a teddy bear picnic presented by the Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium.
Oh, that's cute.
And they have the 45th Annual Ethnic Enrichment Festival.
Nice.
So it's a big, big park. And then there's, of course, people fishing.
Oh, wow. That's lovely. And what a pretty green space.
Yeah, it's like...
You'd love to see that.
I have only gone there to the Starlight Theater like a couple of times.
Okay.
And when you, like I said, when you drive in, you feel like you're like, okay, where I'm going... This is a park because it's just all trees.
Because it's massive and all trees.
All trees.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
Yeah. It's like you can't really see stuff until you get to it. Almost.
Okay.
So, but it's a big park.
Fantastic. On my next trip out to Kansas City, I will.
You have to go check it
give
out.
that a try.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's my what's nice.
Nice. Mine is very, very short.
Okay.
And that is that I was unaware until very recently. Have you heard that there is something called Pizza Hut Classics?
No.
And what that is that in 2019 they started choosing some select Pizza Huts.
Okay.
They've been getting renovated into 1970s style Pizza Huts.
Oh, nice.
Each throwback.
Oh.
Those lamps, the stain. I knew this would get you.
The Sullivan one, just like in the past couple of years, removed all this stuff, and now it's like one of those mini ones. It's like, why?
Right.
Oh.
So throwback decor, menu specials, legacy signage outside.
But do they have a buffet?
I do not know about the buffet, but Missouri has one in Shell Knob, Missouri, which I do not know where that is.
Okay.
I would have to look, but there is apparently one in Eureka Springs,
Ooh.
Arkansas, and it does seem to be open. Like, I looked in, like, as recently as just, a few weeks ago, you've seen, like, Facebook posts and things like that. So, if you want to get your 1970s on and go eat a throwback Pizza Hut pizza off of a sticky red and white vinyl tablecloth underneath a like gaudy but beautiful, perfect.
Hopefully drinking out of one of the gigantic red tumblers.
The red cup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. He's coming home with me. Then yes, you can go to the Pizza Hut Classic in Eureka Springs.
Awesome.
And my sources for today, for my story, I had several podcasts. Avery After Dark, A Little Wicked, and Stuff You Missed in History Class, the ever-present Wikipedia, the CrescentHotel.com, and then FSUSpecialCollections.com for photos. And my What's Nice came from Reddit, and a really cool site that does look at a whole bunch of like vintage restaurants called The Retroologist.
Ooh, I might need to look at that.
You need to check that out. It's relevant to our interests.
It is.
But,
that was great.
Yeah, this was a good time.
Yeah, we had some really good stories. I'm excited to hear the second part next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to love it. It gets better. And Muddy Buddies, thanks for tuning in. We, again, appreciate that you take like an hour out of your week every week to check in and hang out and get muddy with us.
Absolutely.
And I think that this is where Janet and I need to remind you of one more thing, and that is to...
Stay Midwest nice.
Stay Midwest nice.